Welcome back to the Fermentation Adventure. Today we are making something that is super simple, but we also think is so tasty. We're making an orange cream soda using the art of fermentation. If you like orange soda, you are going to love this naturally fermented version. Join us on this journey to explore the world of fermentation.
If you'd like to learn how to make ferments like these, start now by clicking subscribe and hitting that bell so you don't miss a thing. Orange cream soda. We're making it, of course, with the art of fermentation. So not only is it delicious, but it's going to be packed with healthy probiotics. So let's get started.
We're making a half-gallon recipe today. So what you're going to need is this 2-quart or half-gallon mason jar. Also, toward the end of the video, we're carbonating this to make a fizzy soda. So optionally, you're going to need one of these pressure-safe bottles, but that's for later.
And in this recipe, we're using our gingerbug starter culture. If you haven't made one of these, you can start with our gingerbug video. We'll put a link in the description of this video.
So our first step is primary fermentation. This is the step where we get all of our ingredients into the jar.
You want to make sure it's very clean before you get started with fermenting. So what we ended up doing is washing it in the dishwasher on a heat setting. You could also wash it just with hot water.
And the reason we want this jar to be sterilized is because it's going to be full of probiotics, all of the living organisms.
Give it a quick rinse before we even use it, and to use non-chlorinated water in our rinse.
When you're making a soda, you'll need something called a soda syrup. And normally these have a lot of artificial flavors and different chemicals in them, but instead we want to use real oranges.
How do we get the flavor out of this orange though?
To extract the flavor from this orange, you can do a couple different things. You can juice the orange, or what we're doing today, we're getting the flavor right from the orange peel. But we're going to boil that and extract all of that good flavor.
We're going to need the zest of 2 oranges. You can actually use any kind of orange you like, whether it was a tangerine or a mineola or a honeybell like we're using today.
Now preferably we would want oranges that are organic because a lot of the pesticides and herbicides, they concentrate on the peel. So if you can find organic, that would be even better.
We need only 2 cups of water because we're about to create a concentrated syrup. We're just going to bring this to a boil and we're going to let it sit for about 5 minutes to really extract as much of the orange flavor into this syrup as possible. That smells really good. Now we have our concentrated orange soda syrup. Well, almost. The next ingredient is the sugar. We like to use 1 cup of raw cane sugar in this recipe. And since the water is warm, this is going to melt right into it. You could actually use a little bit less or a little bit more depending on your taste and just stir it until it's dissolved.
Before we add any other ingredients, we need to cool this down because it is really hot.
This is our infrared thermometer, so we can actually tell just how hot this is right now.
Whoa.
122 degrees Fahrenheit right now.
The gingerbug can only survive up to a certain amount of temperature. So if you feel the jar and it doesn't feel warm, then that's probably good. You could let this sit and cool to room temperature for a couple hours, but the quickest way to do it is to add this to cold water. So as a thermal experiment, our cold water is 47. We're gonna add 5 cups of cold water to the mason jar. And now we're adding our concentrated soda syrup. Using a funnel is just a little easier not to make a mess. Jar feels really cold, so that's a good sign. It is 64 degrees.
Our next ingredient is going to give our orange cream soda the cream soda flavor, and that is vanilla extract. I love vanilla. I'm going to go ahead and use at least 1 tablespoon. Think fast!
Oh! Our next ingredient is the juice of 1 lime or lemon, and that equals to about 1 tablespoon. The reason we're adding this is just to tip the pH a little more toward the acid side, and it adds a little more of an acid flavor too. Hey! Fermentation cat. Only 1 ingredient left. And that's to make this thing alive with a starter culture.
It's looking really good. We're definitely ready for that gingerbug. It's in the refrigerator. It's been hibernating since the last time we used it, so let's get it out. This ginger bug is from 2019. That's 4 years ago. It's actually the ginger bug we made for our ginger bug video on this channel. I like to give it a good stir before we use it. And today we're gonna use a half cup in our orange cream soda. Oh boy, this is a bit too high. We added too much water. Yep. So in the water phase, when you're pouring water in your jar first, probably should have gone with about 4 cups. We're ready to go ahead and start fermenting this on the counter.
But first we have to cover this.
Now you can really cover this however you like. We just love these fermentation lids because they're very specific to what we're trying to do here.
So the more oxygen you can keep out, the less likely it's going to mold on top. And it looks like there's going to be particles on top of there, so those are more likely to mold.
These lids also have a little hole on top that allow the gases to come up and escape.
If you want to get some of these fermentation lids that are so handy, they'll be on our website. We have an entire gear page of everything that we use.
And one last thing we have to do, cover this with a cloth. One of those things that can kill your ferment is to have harsh sunlight coming in.
And if you're interested in all the do's and don'ts, we have a couple of Q&A videos that we'll link to.
We answer all of your frequently asked questions and all of your top questions that we see in the comments as well.
So keep those questions coming.
We're also going to put a sticker so we know when we started fermenting it.
We're going to follow this through the fermentation process so you know what to expect when you're making this at home.
After 24 hours, it's still too soon to see any changes. But let's give it a little shake to keep anything from settling on the top. After 2 days, the zest is really settling on the bottom. But not much has changed, so let's give it another shake.
By the third day, the color of our orange cream soda is noticeably lighter as the orange zest is settling to the bottom. There's a layer that looks a bit foamy on top, so we'll continue to shake it up every day to make it more difficult for any mold to form. We're just being extra cautious. By day 4 and 5, it was still more of the same, and we started to wonder if the cooler temperatures were slowing down the process. 69 degrees Fahrenheit. Yep, that's definitely colder than usual for our home.
After 6 days, our ferment looks a bit more cloudy, which is the first good sign that the healthy yeast and bacteria have really taken hold.
No bubbles yet.
But even still, after 7 and 8 days, we still don't have bubbles.
This is after 9 days.
The silicone lid was bulging outward, a sign that there were gases being created by the fermentation process.
Let's see.
So we got the flashlight to get a closer look.
Oh my gosh, we finally have bubbles. It looks like a pretty good stream too. Wow, nice. It's kind of hard to ferment when it gets a little colder. And there's also lemon juice in here, and it's citrus based. So it probably slowed it down quite a bit. I would love to taste this, but I think I'm gonna let it go a little bit longer and maybe we'll taste it tomorrow. So cool. Until tomorrow.
Oh my goodness.
All right, you guys, it has been 10 days of this fermenting.
And it's been bubbling for 24 hours, so
what do you think?
let's take a look. Oh, yay, it's still bubbling.
Oh, it is bubbling like crazy.
It's amazing how you really have a hard time seeing the bubbles until you put on that flashlight.
It's almost like champagne, all these bubbles coming up.
I actually think we should taste test this a little bit to see if we are ready to bottle or if we want to wait one more day and let it ferment a little longer.
Because really what it comes down to is what does it taste like? And you have to like the taste. It is pretty sweet.
It's still pretty sweet, but I can start to taste the fermented taste that's like
A little bit sour.
Mm-hmm.
Tastes good though.
It tastes amazing, but
I think it's going to taste even better if we let it go a little bit longer.
yeah, let's do another 24 hours and check on it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Cream soda on its way.
Time to go to bed, little soda.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Our orange cream soda has been fermenting for the past 12 days and it's been bubbling for the past 3 days.
If you remember from our ginger ale video, sometimes our ferments can take 4 to 7 days to really be ready. And in this case, it was 12 days.
But now we have a side-by-side comparison to the one we just made.
And look at the difference. Whoa.
Oh yeah, man, that is active like crazy. So this orange cream soda is ready to drink right now. You don't have to do the bottling stage, but if you want all the fizzy goodness of what you would know as a soda,
then we better move on to the secondary fermentation, which is bottling. We're going to be able to fill about 4 bottles, although one of them is a tester bottle. If you want to know more about this tester bottle process and everything about bottling, make sure to check out that Q&A video that we mentioned earlier. It's going to go over all the details that you need to know. Oh, but one of the steps I already did is give each of these a good little rinse of non-chlorinated water just to make sure they're extra clean. For this, we're going to need a funnel. We have an assembly line going.
And we need a top for this. It makes it a lot easier.
Oh.
We used to dump these over and it makes such a mess.
We'll try our best to fill the bottles equally. Make sure to put that cap on real tight because you don't want any air escaping. You want to be able to squeeze this over time to see how the pressure is building. And that will give you an indication of how it's building in your glass bottles, which of course you don't want to explode. So you can see right now, I can squeeze this a lot.
We're going to follow these bottles through the secondary fermentation process so you know what to expect when these are building pressure.
We're about 18 hours in. It's getting there. It definitely made some progress overnight. This needs to be a little bit harder. We'll check on it later today.
We're back after 24 hours.
There's still a little give when we squeeze the bottle, but it's probably good enough to drink. Or we can put it in the refrigerator for later. Because even though it slows down the fermentation process, it doesn't completely stop it. So your bottles will always be very slowly fermenting in the refrigerator. You'll even be able to drink this up to, let's say, 6 months later.
And the taste will change slowly over time. So if you want it to be nice and fresh and sweet, then enjoy them right away.
That's why we're going to get started right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see the bubbles coming. It's so beautiful. It's fizzing. Oh my gosh.
Ooh, yeah.
This type of fermentation is not vinegary.
It's like a crisp, clean flavor.
Mm-hmm. That is so good.
Sarah had a really good idea for this.
Let's make an orange cream soda
Float.
This is the creamsicle I had in mind that I'm trying to recreate, but naturally. So we actually went out and got ice cream last night, so we're ready to make it today.
So while Sarah's getting the ice cream, you might be wondering, is there actually any alcohol in this? If you remember when we did the store-bought juices and turned those into sodas, this is a natural fermentation and sugar is being converted into alcohol, so there's always a little bit in there. Just a bit above 3% alcohol.
Whoa.
But this is still very sweet, so there's probably very little alcohol in here at all.
Oh my gosh, that looks amazing. This looks like a dream come true. Oh my gosh, that's really amazing. You've got to try this combination with the ice cream.
Oh man, I can't believe this.
I'd say it was a big success.
We hope you guys have enjoyed learning how to make fermented orange cream soda.
And we'd love for you to subscribe and join our growing community.
Don't forget to like this video.